everyone. Welcome to the Zyto Wellness webinar series. My name is Lindsay Godfrey, and I am a marketing coordinator here at Zyto. Today, we are lucky enough to have Dr. Bob DeMaria with us, and he will be speaking on a drugless guide to mental health. But before we get into that, I just wanted to remind you about the Zyto Regional event that we're having on Saturday. It's our last one of the year. It's in Las Vegas on December 7th. It's an all-day event, and if you haven't attended one before, it's a great opportunity to connect with people in the Zyto community, as well as receive hands-on training from our Zyto employees. As well, we are closing out our 2019 Wellness Challenge. Thank you to all of you that have participated and sent in pictures over the year. And it's been so fun to see pictures of people running marathons, rock climbing in Yosemite, and surfing. So thank you. As a reminder, these Zyto Wellness webinars are produced to provide useful information for health practitioners and enthusiasts, to also share unique perspectives from experts and on a variety of topics, as well as talking about how they implement the Zyto software into their practices, and hopefully provide you insight on how to do that for yourself. We will also be giving away a book from Dr. Bob today. It's a guide to prevent surgery, so stick around. We'll announce the winner at the end of the webinar. And just to introduce Dr. Bob a little bit more, he is a natural health doctor as well as a chiropractor, and he's been practicing for over 40 years and helping people without ever prescribing a medication. So without further ado, we'll turn the time over to you, Dr. Bob.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to making a difference in someone's life that I know we're going to make a difference in a lot of people's lives.
Yes.
So what we're going to be talking about today is some of the key concerns, what mental health is. Some of the I'll be discussing is going to be anxiety and depression, because when you think about mental health, everybody has their own idea what their mental health challenge is, but there are many aspects of mental health that I want to address. Like I mentioned, anxiety and depression, memory, emotions and organ function, which I think you're going to all find quite intriguing. ADHD, which the metabolism and function of the body can come all the way down to that fat metabolism. And that was the first book that I wrote in 1999 and 2000. And then some of the drugless testing services that you could do and that we could even help you with to help make a difference in your life. What is mental health? And I pondered, how do I explain this to people? So your mental health ability is to think with accuracy, excellent recall, feel mentally well balanced, and whatever that means to you is you don't have this drudgery in your mind. You can sharply think, create words, communicate and socialize with other individuals, and engage in social interaction one-on-one, not just through a cell phone, a text, or an email. And I think that we have actually lost the ability to touch and feel people. Even my voice, you should be hearing passion in my voice and love and joy and peace. Well, guess what? When you do a text to somebody, whatever you have on that paper, that's what's coming across. So you better think about that the next time you text somebody, because you might be thinking one thing and they're thinking something else. So just how to enlighten your mind. So let's talk about the brain and the nervous system. Well, your brain obviously sits in your skull, and it continues on down the spinal cord to all the tissues in your body. It's the nervous system. So we have the main nervous system called the central nervous system, and we have a variety of other nervous systems. One's called the autonomic nervous system. It pretty much works automatically because you're not thinking right now that you're breathing, your heart is beating, you may have just had lunch or dinner, your pancreas is working. Some of you maybe just got done exercising. So every part of your body is controlled automatically. So if we had to think about it on ourselves, there really probably wouldn't be anybody on the planet. So it's really great that we have the autonomic or automatic nervous system in the body. There's one that we don't talk about too much. It's called the enteric nervous system. The enteric nervous system is in your gut. And a lot of emotional and health and mental challenges is digestive related. Because if you have a digestive issue, and I know that all of you that are watching me right now or listening to me, that you are doing this because you want to get healthy and well, and you want to be the commander of your own ship, and maybe not necessarily dependent on medications. Well, so many people have digestive distress today, and they end up going to either a well-meaning prescribing physician, or you might meander into one of those big box drugstores and pick up an over-the-counter now drug that used to be by prescription only. And I am amazed when I watch television. They have this drug. They show these people eating all this food that really, is not healthy for them. But if you take this magic pill, you're going to be able to eat anything you want. Well, those digestive drugs, unbeknown, or they do know, but they don't want you to know, it interrupts normal absorption of nutrients and minerals. And one of them happens to be B12, which we will talk about. So you want to do everything you can for your clients to help them improve digestion, because you live and die in the gut, and what you absorb or don't absorb is going to affect your nervous system. Now, there's a new buzz that people have been talking about. It's inflammation. So I'm going to share some thoughts. And I've been practicing since 1978. And I was practicing before some of you probably were even alive. And what I have seen over time is we have a tremendous amount of inflammation in our society today. So while you're watching me right now, you can do something that I call the Dr. Bob squeeze the wrist test. You can literally get your fingers and you squeeze the bone. You should feel bone. And if you don't feel bone between your skin and the bone, but you feel some soft flesh, that means your body is inflamed. And I know when I look at people, even celebrities walking on the red carpet, and a lot of you that I'm looking at right now, you may feel puffy. You're puffy because you're inflamed. But you're inflamed because your body is holding on to fluids, so you don't have a toxic reaction. And some of the most common foods that cause inflammation in the body: wheat, dairy, peanut butter, sugar, and I'm going to share one with you that's going to rock a few of your boats right now, is fruit.
Wow.
I don't promote fruit. I am not a vegetarian. I primarily eat non-starchy green vegetables. Now, I learned this back in the 1980s, and I write about this in my books. The pancreas embryologically starts up in this shoulder area, which is on the left side, and it embryologically moves to your abdomen. So the pancreas takes away inflammation. So if you want to do some of your own research, go to your favorite search engine, type in American Heart Association, the year is 2011, and they were talking about people who have elevated triglycerides. But if you really drill down into the article, it talks about sweet fruit, fatty livers. So for those of you that have chronic left neck and mid back pain, which I know a lot of you do right now, I would stop eating your bananas and pineapple and watermelon for a month. You will be amazed that your pain and inflammation will go away. You just trust me. I had a lady that came in today. She had bloating in her abdomen. She's actually a pharmacist. So
Wow.
She came into my office incognito. Not really. She just loves us. And she said, Dr. Anthony, who's my son, there's 4 of us that practice in the office. He suggested that she stop eating bread. And she looked at me and she said, something as simple as bread will take away my bloating and digestive distress? Yes. Inflammation can be caused by fruit, sugar, peanut butter, wheat, and dairy. So let's transition over to the omega-3 and omega-6 fats. What's very interesting in my practice is we can literally test you for your oils. The omega-3 oils take away inflammation. The omega-6 oils, which are safflower oil and sunflower oil. Now, those are not bad oils. But back when I wrote Dr. Bob's Trans Fat Survival Guide in 2005, trans fat was celebrated as the oil that was going to take away heart attacks. Well, I've known my entire practice life, you can't take a man-made oil and expect people to be healthy. Trans fat actually causes heart disease. You hear what I just said? Trans fat causes heart disease because it causes inflammation. So what happens when you eat trans fat or partial hydrogenated oils, you're not going to feel good. It sabotages your body's ability to make omega-3 fats. But the omega-6 fats, which is sunflower oil, safflower oil, corn oils, when you consume too much of those, you say, Dr. Bob, how do I know if I consume too much of them? Well, 90% of all the food today used to have soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil in it. So the American manufacturers figured out the Americans are getting smart, so they started putting safflower oil and sunflower oil in. But Americans just eat too much of that. So we have, through a blood stick or a finger prick, the ability to evaluate your omega-3 and your omega-6 fats. And I'm going to tell you right now, you want to have a balance. And most people watching me right now have too much omega-6 fats, too much of something called arachidonic acid, and too much linoleic acid. If you don't want to get Alzheimer's or dementia, you want those oils minimized because they will cause inflammation in your body. And we talk about that in Dr. Bob's Trans Fat Survival Guide, and we talk about that in Dr. Bob's Guide to Mental Health. So you don't have to get Alzheimer's and dementia or depression, but these are not my rules. I'm going to ask you a trick question. You ready? Does gravity ever take a vacation? No, Dr. Bob, unless of course you're an astronaut. So gravity is constantly pushing down on top of you. That is not my rule. Let me ask another trick question. What temperature does water freeze? It's 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It doesn't make any difference if Dr. Bob says it or anybody says it. It's a natural principle. So what I'm sharing with you are natural principles that I've been fortunate to learn. Left neck to mid-back pain is always caused by pancreas stimulation. So I briefly touched on digestive distress. Here's what goes on. When you're taking these digestive drugs, your body's not going to absorb zinc, vitamins, magnesium, and even vitamin B12. Those are called cofactors. They're like the secret ingredients in grandma's chicken paprikash recipe. You're going to say, do you eat chicken paprikash, Dr. Bob? I do not. Did I used to? Yes, I did. But it could be any of grandma's secret recipes. If you take away that 7 spice, whatever it is that your ethnic group uses, it's going to impact the taste of food. Well, in the human body, if you don't have, for example, enough zinc, how do I know if you don't have enough zinc? When I'm done, or if you would like to walk away and put this on pause and go look at your face in the mirror and see if you have large pores. If you have large pores, you probably have a zinc need. We also do a test in our practice called the zinc taste test. You can go to our website. We can make that aqua zinc available to you. You want zinc because zinc's important for a part of your brain called the hippocampus. When we look at blood tests, and we talk about this in the book, there are 2 enzymes. You could write this down, ALT, alpha Louis Tom, and AST, alpha Sam Tom. ALT and AST are liver enzymes. And when they're deficient in the body, you have a deficiency of B6. Well, if you have a deficiency of B6, you have a greater chance to have a inflammation and not enough DHA. So the fat in your brain, the long chain fatty acid is called DHA. The fat for your heart is EPA. But we can test that through the omega-3 and the omega-6 testing. But if you have digestive distress, let me tell you a little secret. If you eat food and you have digestive distress immediately, this is a Dr. Bob secret, you have a digestive enzyme need. But if you eat food and you're bloated, 2 or 3 hours later, you probably have liver gallbladder distress. Usually you've had 2 kids. You could have right shoulder pain and radishes. You have to go back and listen to this one again. Radishes. I love radishes. I have 2 every day. But if radishes bother you, it's not the radish. It's your liver gallbladder. It's all about digestion. All of this is essentially needed for optimal mental health. Probably never heard that one before, did you? So let's talk about the B vitamins, and we're going to continue on with zinc. B vitamins help something in your body, which is your nerves. You don't want raw nerves. If you don't have enough B vitamins, your nerves are literally going to be raw and very excited. Now, ladies, especially, if you hear noises, let's say you're sitting in a room and you can hear the refrigerator humming, it's because you probably don't have enough B vitamins in your body. And the next slide we're not going to get to yet, crying easy, sore muscles after exercise, and if mosquitoes like you, those are all signs of a B vitamin need. Now, on a blood test, we look at your carbon dioxide, CO2, and if your CO2 is low, you probably need vitamin B1. Going back to the zinc, zinc's important for a part of your brain called the hippocampus. But we can measure zinc deficiency not only with the zinc taste test, but we can also measure it with an enzyme in your blood test called alkaline phosphatase. Alkaline phosphatase. Do some research on that. If your alkaline phosphatase is less than the midline, the normal range is about 35 to 120. You want to be about 80. But if your number is below 50 and you got pores on your face and white spots on your nails, you probably have a zinc deficiency in your body. Okay, let's move on. Dr. Bob, oh my God, don't you just love that picture? Crying easy. So do you cry easy? People who cry easy need B vitamins. That's very important, by the way. We just said how you can test for it. You can test for it with carbon dioxide. Your CO2 is low. That means your body needs vitamin B1. The B vitamins and minerals help make digestive enzymes. So let's talk about what the difference is between anxiety and depression. This is what I've learned. People who have anxiety usually, number one, need B vitamins, especially B1. They also just seem to be very, very uptight. They oftentimes will have chest challenges going on.
So what types of foods have B1 vitamins?
B vitamins are commonly found in whole grains.
Okay.
And
Right.
but sugar will take B vitamins out of the body. So anxiety is usually a mineral need. Oftentimes a B vitamin need will occur, also will cause anxiety. Now depression, on the other hand, what I have learned, and I'm going to share something with you that's pretty exciting right now. There's a gland in your body called the adrenal gland. The adrenal glands are located on top of your kidneys. The adrenal glands make adrenaline. Adrenaline is made from something called tyrosine. If you don't have enough tyrosine, tyrosine is a natural antidepressant. Tyrosine and iodine make thyroid hormone. So when you're underneath a lot of stress and you don't have enough tyrosine, you could also have a low thyroid. If you have cold hands and cold feet, you could have a low thyroid. But people who have a low thyroid oftentimes can be depressed. That's really important. So going back to what I just said, stress, it impacts your adrenal glands. They're located on top of your kidneys. They make adrenaline. Well, adrenaline is made from tyrosine. Tyrosine is a natural antidepressant. This is really significant, especially for some of you who may be depressed and are on any medications right now. We can test you through a urine test to see how much tyrosine you have in your body. But that is probably one of the most significant aha moments I had when I was going through the creation of Dr. Bob's Guide to Mental Health and Mental Stress. Now, when I was first in practice, I had patients coming into the office that lost skin pigment on various parts of their body, especially their hands. It's called vitiligo. Well, it took me for a long time to figure this out, but I was reading a PDF and it talked about tyrosine. Tyrosine also makes skin pigment. It's quite significant, by the way. So if you or someone you know has loss of skin pigment, chances are that they don't have enough tyrosine, they could be depressed, and they could have a low thyroid gland. So anxiety, from my observation, oftentimes is a mineral, B vitamin, especially B1. We have a test in our practice called the heart sound recorder. people with a B1 need usually have very wide first heart sounds. People who are depressed usually don't have enough of the omega-3 oil called DHA. It's called docosahexaenoic acid. So if you look at this slide, let me tie all of this together for you, okay? If you cry easy, you need B vitamins. You have raw nerves, noise sensitivity. You may consider having your omega oils tested, omega-3 and omega-6. If you have too much omega-6, you're going to be inflamed. If you don't have an oil for your brain called DHA, you could have a depression challenge. If your adrenal glands, how can you test your adrenal glands on your own? Have someone take your blood pressure sitting and then take it standing. Your blood pressure should go up from a stand. If your blood pressure goes down or if it's already low, you could have adrenal fatigue. I mentioned this a couple times already. Tyrosine and iodine make thyroid hormone. Low thyroid body signals are cold hands and cold feet, thinning hair, wide spaced teeth, morning headaches, constipation, depression, elevated cholesterol. So that's important. So if you have a low thyroid and you're depressed, chances are it's all because of stress. Other body signals for adrenal fatigue: bright light bothers your eyes, you get dizzy from a sit to a stand position, you crave chips, pickles, and olives. Those are body signals that when someone comes into my life, into my practice, I look at them. When I look at them, I can find out a lot of what's going on. So that'll give you a better understanding of anxiety and depression. Your memory. Now, most people, when they think of mental health, they think about anxiety and depression, which we just discussed in great detail. Let's talk about your mind. You know, memory loss crosses all socioeconomic barriers, the levels, wherever you're at, it doesn't make any difference. So what causes Alzheimer's and dementia? Well, I mentioned something earlier, vitamin B12. You need vitamin B12. Most of you watching me right now, especially if you're 40 years old or older, have a B12 deficiency. There's a lot of different ways you can test for B12. I like to do it indirectly because probably 90% of the people that I see have their B12 tested, they seem to always have too much. If you do any research on it, they'll tell you that the B12 testing is not totally accurate. So I look at something on your blood test called your uric acid level. Your uric acid level should be within a normal. Let's say, I'm not sure, every lab is a different range, but if it's in the 5 range on the lab I use, which is LabCorp, and it's getting close to 6 and 7, high uric acid usually means you need vitamin B12. I also look at the form of a blood test called on the CBC. So the uric acid's on the serum level, the CBC, which is Charlie Bravo Charlie differential, the CBC. Write this down. I look at the MCV, mean corpuscular volume, the MCH, that's mean corpuscular hemoglobin, and MCHC. You'll see them. If they're elevated, it's a body signal that you might need vitamin B12. Commonly deficient, we use a B12 lozenge, and it really makes a difference. It takes 120 days or more to notice any changes in your B12 ability to impact the body. You see, if you have large blood cells, see, the MCV stands for mean corpuscular volume. So you may have large, poorly oxygenated blood cells because you don't have enough B12. But if you're taking a digestive drug, if you're listening to what I'm saying to you, it's all interrelated. So if you're taking a digestive drug, you might not be absorbing B12. So let's talk about memory and sugar and stress and all the rest of these items I have here. So stress can cause it because it takes minerals out of your body, because stress causes your pH to become acid. And your body balances the pH with minerals. And zinc is an important mineral. It's important for a part of your brain called the hippocampus. Sugar and stress are probably the biggest reasons that people do have Alzheimer's and dementia, because it causes inflammation in the body, which can create havoc, so the synapses cannot cross over. There's information that's not going to jump. And then finally, it's the medication. See, medications can also compromise your liver. And your liver is where your body has normal fat metabolism. So oil is important for your mind. And I mentioned earlier the omega-3 and the omega-6 tests. You can, when you do the omega-6 test, check for a long-chain fat called DHA. So if you have a family history of mental anxiety, depression, ADHD, or Alzheimer's, you want to have that omega test done. So this is going to be some new information for all of you, okay? I love giving people information, and I know a lot of the information I already gave you is pretty new for most of you, by the way. The nice news about what I'm sharing with you, it's all helpable. It's all fixable, which is really tremendous. So let's talk about the organ, emotion, interfacing with each other. So I have training in Chinese acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine. I don't utilize that in my practice because there's so many other things that I work with, but this is what I've learned, and I have it up there on the screen for you right now. The spleen, which is in your left abdomen, below your left breast, under your ribs, is very important for your lymphatic and your immune system. But the spleen, when compromised, is associated with you having anxiety and worry. And what I've learned is that most people that have anxiety and worry always seem to be sick. So people who are emotionally distraught usually have sickness in their body. I just gave you the reason why. Their spleen's not functioning. But the spleen can also impact your red blood count and the ability to carry oxygen in your body. The next one I have up there is your liver. I am seeing an epidemic of fatty livers in my practice. So we have the ability through technology to check with digital radiographs spinal function, but we see large livers. That's why I did more research and discovered how fruit will impact someone. So you say, well, how did you discover that? Because it's very easy. I had people start filling out diet sheets, and I was amazed how much people do juicing, how much people do smoothies, and how much fruit people eat. If you want to continue to do that, you can, but you really want to have films taken, because if your liver is enlarged, it can impact your pelvis, and your pelvis is going to shift, and you don't want that to happen. So the liver is the organ of anger. So you ever see somebody driving down the road with a burger in one hand and French fries in the other, and they're shaking their fist? They're angry. And what I have learned is after women have baby number 2, they have a greater chance to have liver distress and gallbladder distress because the baby places a demand on the liver. Okay, so let's talk about kidney. The kidney is the organ that's associated with fear. I want you to understand that the kidney is considered the second liver. So if your liver is overworked, your kidneys are going to break down. You're going to have sweaty feet, sweaty armpits, and your body's just going to feel sweaty. I would encourage you to drink more water. You may have a chronic bladder infection. It could definitely be associated with poor kidney function. I think that the heart is a very interesting because it's related to elation and joy. But it also, if you're not joyful or have elation, you can have depression. You know, it's like when someone's heart is broken for whatever reason, it definitely can impact function. And the last one is an interesting story. And this is where I learned about a lot of this. When my youngest son was going off to college, my wife started having some lung challenges. Actually, that's how we got involved with the Zyto Corporation. I was at a seminar, and there's a young man there with a cradle, and he asked me if I wanted to do it. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do this. But my wife was there, you know, and she said, yeah, I'll do it. And the scan pinpointed exactly what was going on in her body. So, of course, not only did we buy one, we have 2 different software programs that we use because we have multiple offices. Anyway, my wife had sadness because my youngest son was going to college. So that's when I started piecing all of this together, and I see it play out in the practice because we also do breast thermography in our practice, temperature picture of breast. And a thermography will tell you 5 to 8 years before it'll show up on a mammogram. We don't tell people not to have mammograms, but we know that your breasts drain into your armpits, and your armpits drain into your liver. So if you have congested armpits, we know your lymphatic system is not functioning optimally, which means we also know that your spleen and your liver are not functioning. So we have been able to tie through science the technology of all this together, and then you add the Zyto technology, I mean, it's like a slam dunk that you're able to help people create a avenue of optimal wellness. So if you have a child that has asthma, chronic lung problems, and they're having school issues, or maybe grandma or grandpa just passed away, or their pet just passed away, or somebody just moved away, if you have a mate, a spouse, a partner that has a chronic lung problem, you need to have some conversation. But I also want you to know this. People who have a chronic cough usually like to eat sugar because sugar places a compromise on the adrenal glands. And one last thing I'll throw out before we move to the next slide is that asthma responds very well, and eczema very well, to black currant seed oil. Okay, this is from Dr. Bob's first book. It's Dr. Bob's Guide to Stop ADHD in 18 Days. Let me tell you, when I first wrote this book almost 20 years ago, man, did I get the flack from all the mongers on the internet and Amazon. How do you think that you can help ADHD in 18 days? That just shows that they don't understand fat metabolism. So I read this book in the 1980s, and this guy said that trans fat had a half-life of 51 days. And that cis, or the normal fat, cis being CIS, has a half-life of 18 days. So I had this hypothesis that if we could change a person's diet, because I believe back in the day that trans fat was caused, or ADHD was caused by poor fat metabolism of DHA. I've been talking about this. So if you don't have the right DHA in your body, you have a greater chance to have ADHD. So the half-life of cis fat is 18 days. The half-life of trans fat is 51 days. So we got 25 participants. We had them write down what they ate, got their schoolwork. We changed their diet, no milk, no dairy, no trans fat, no Pop-Tarts, no trans fat for 18 days. And we did a pilot study. And these kids and adults came back, and guess what? They were better. They were better in 18 days. The 18 days is the half-life of good fat. So if you're watching me right now, keep on looking for partial hydrogenated oils and trans fat, which is so funny because when I wrote my book on trans fat in 2005, Dr. Bob's Trans Fat Survival Guide, the government had a rule that if a product had a half a gram of trans fat or less per serving, how ludicrous this is, a half a gram of trans fat or less per serving, the package could say 0 grams trans fat. Well, hello, Betty. If you have a bag of chocolate chip cookies, they ain't nobody going to eat just one. Even with potato chips, they're going to eat them. So that means within 2 minutes, you're going to have more than the trans fat you need, which is sabotaging your body's ability to make a long-chain fat called DHA. So the oil metabolism in your body, it needs zinc, it needs good oil, it needs minerals, it needs B vitamins, it needs magnesium. All of these make the fat for your brain called DHA. So if you have depression, if you have Alzheimer's, a dementia potential, it all comes down to the same physiology. That back in the year 2000, we did not have the ability to test for omega-3 and omega-6 fats like we do today. And that's very, very important if you want to create a wellness plan for optimal brain function. Whew. Anything else? What's the next one?
So we do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
So what are some everyday things that the average person can do to reduce stress and anxiety?
Well, the first thing that you need to do is you have a situation where you need to address a conflict. You're going to need to address it because if not, you're going to live with it. But you need to have B vitamins. You need to eliminate sugars. That'll help you better cope with any type of physiologic stress like that.
Okay. Sugar is a hard one. It's in so many things.
You can help. Well, it's in things that you, but it's not in things that I make. Like I have a salad today for lunch, and I had some vegetables for my breakfast. You could have a hard-boiled egg for your food. I'm going to have vegetables tonight that I prepared. You know, I eat organic chicken, organic beef. I do not go out to eat at any franchise restaurant, and I just don't eat sugar. And I quit drinking alcohol in 91. Alcohol will sabotage the best intentions. Before you ask me any more questions, I want to talk about this, your drugless mental health roadmap. The omega oils are very important. If you're having any kind of potential mental health issue, if you have clients, you want their omega oils tested, and we can do that. You want a thyroid panel. This is significant. You want a TSH, a T3, and a T4. Because a lot of times the medical community only will do a TSH. Now, they've thrown out the word Hashimoto's. It's an autoimmune problem. At least one time you want to have your TPO tested, Tom, Paul, Odd, TPO. If that's elevated, chances are that you're eating too much bread or gluten. Now, I practice clinically as a chiropractor in the state of Florida and in Ohio. I also have a doctor of natural health degree. You want your nervous system balanced. So find a skilled chiropractor in your area, one that takes films. If they don't take films, in my opinion, you want to find somebody, because the films are a roadmap, just like the Zyto technology is a roadmap. You see me, I've talked about this nauseam about reducing sugar, and the best way to reduce unnecessary stress, get to bed by 10 o'clock. If you get to bed at 10 and you can't fall asleep, you might need some zinc. If you get to bed by 10, you wake up at 11, you need some B vitamins. We are starting a class that you can go to our website, druglessdoctor.com. And I would really encourage you to do this. It's online. It's called Teachable. And you could take the energy class for free. So if you enjoy what you just did now, which I gave you a lot of very pertinent information, life-changing information, you can continue on and just learn more. And of course, you obviously want to read the books, and then you could do some testing. You could come and visit me in Westlake, Ohio. It'll give you a reason to visit me in Naples, Florida during the winter time.
All right. So we do have another question for you. Why is it important to fix your health without medication?
Well, that's a very good question, because medications have something called bad effects. The pharmaceutical industry wants to use the word side effects, but they're not side effects. They're bad effects. Some of them include death. I'll give you an example. My wife had someone that she grew up with, and the young man had low back pain. So this is before I knew anything about opioids. Well, he was on opioids. And unbeknown to me at the time, as much as anybody else, he got constipation. He had constipation so bad that sadly he took his own life. Wow. So medications have impact. I mentioned this to you about the drugs that improve supposedly digestive. The drugs themselves interrupt your body's ability to absorb good, healthy minerals. Medications will compromise liver function.
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting to hear the experiences that you've had, and then also just the way that food can influence and affect your mental and emotional health as well.
Well, I have the good fortune that I have created my own scans, and I use them a lot, actually pretty exclusively. I also will use the food stressor, because what I found with the food stressor, that a lot of times if people have 4 or 5 foods that they consume on a regular basis and they show up as a negative food stressor, it's not the food as much as it is their gut. So, I talk about food a lot, and one of the Zyto scans that I use on weight loss and detoxification, we really do an assessment. And what I really have enjoyed about the Zyto technology, that blood serum technology validates what I've learned electronically. So whatever type of scan that you're using in your own service, in your own industry, it is so uncannily accurate. Sometimes I let the Zyto do my extra set of eyes for me to make me expand my thinking, and it really does work exceptional. I just had a young man that came in today, chronic digestive distress. We did a food stressor on him, and I got to tell you a quick story, okay? This is so funny. We did the food stressor on someone. She came walking in my door. The very first thing that showed up on the negative food stressor was ice cream. And right next to it was cocoa. And this lady, I looked at her, I said, ice cream? She said, Dad, didn't they tell you I was eating ice cream on the way in? And I thought, no, it's like going to an AA meeting with 3-2 beer. And so I looked at her and I said, okay, I just thought to myself, I'm going to go for a wild guess. Did you have chocolate ice cream? She said, no, but my son had chocolate ice cream. So within 2 minutes, the food stressor picked up that the
Wow.
ice cream was a negative for her body. Was that amazing?
Yes. Yes. And I wish that it was a negative thing for me as well. um, so thank you for that, Dr. Bob.
You're
Um,
welcome.
all right. Well, that's all the time that we have today. Thank you, Dr. Bob. As far as our Wellness Challenge winner, we're going to give that to Emma Robbins. Congratulations. You're the proud new owner of an Apple Watch. And we're so excited for you. We'll get that sent off to you later today. And again, the Zyto regional event that we're having this weekend is in Las Vegas on Saturday, December 7th, and it will run all day. So make sure to go if you haven't been to one yet. We highly encourage it. And as a reminder, we're having Cyber Week specials this week. As you can see, it's on the Zyto Balance. You'll get 3 free months, as well as on our Pro systems, our Select, Elite, and Evox, you'll get down payment matches with your down payment. So go check that out if you haven't seen it already. It's a great time to buy. And thank you, everyone, again for joining us for our wellness webinar. And we look forward to seeing you next time when we have our webinar on holistic solutions for inflammation. It'll be on January 8th at 10 a.m. And we hope to see you there. Bye.